Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload. And you'll never miss a story again. The office lights flickered once, just a brief blink, and the world went back to normal. David Morgan glanced up from his desk, his screen still glowing with spreadsheets and reports, the same reports he had buried himself in for the past 8 years. It was a Thursday evening, just after 7 p.m., and the building was quiet. Too quiet. That was when he noticed it. The subtle shift. The stillness that didn't feel like peace, but rather like something holding its breath. He stood, stretched his stiff legs, and walked over to the break room for a lukewarm cup of coffee. His phone buzzed on the counter, lighting up with a message from his wife, Claire. "Working late again? Don't wait up. Love you." He stared at the message for a moment. Claire had sent that exact message 3 times this week, word for word. David returned home a little after 9 p.m. The house was dark, quiet. He loosened his tie and wandered into the kitchen, grabbing a cold leftover meal from the fridge. The TV murmured in the background as he sat alone, the only sound the soft clink of his fork against the plate. It wasn't that Claire was distant, she was still affectionate, still polite, but something had changed, something under the surface. And tonight, as the unease settled in his chest like a weight, David knew he couldn't ignore it anymore. The next day, David left work early under the pretense of a dentist appointment. He parked across the street from Claire's office building, watching people file in and out through the glass doors. It wasn't long before he saw her, laughing, vibrant, and leaning far too close to a man David didn't recognize. The man placed a hand on her arm, and they disappeared together into the building. David didn't follow, not yet. Instead, he went home and started digging. He pulled up her calendar, scanned her call logs, checked credit card receipts. One hotel stood out, a boutique downtown, used multiple times over the last month. That weekend, he drove to the hotel, spoke to the front desk with a smile and a lie about a surprise anniversary gift. He learned what he needed. Claire had booked the room under her maiden name. It had been reserved again for the following Thursday. He went back to his car and sat in silence for several minutes, letting the reality settle. The betrayal was sharp, but beneath the pain, something else stirred. An instinct that there was more to the story. That night, he confronted Claire in the quiet of their bedroom. "You've been working late a lot." She didn't look up from her laptop. "Yeah, it's that merger I told you about. Things are crazy." He watched her carefully. "You booked a hotel room, downtown, under your maiden name?" Her fingers paused. Slowly, she looked up. "You went through my records?" she asked, calm but icy. "I had to. You weren't telling me the truth." Claire closed the laptop and stood. "You have no idea what you're getting into." David blinked. "What does that mean?" She stepped forward, lowering her voice. "Just let it go, David. Whatever you think you saw, it's not what you think. For your own good, stop digging." But David couldn't stop. The next Thursday, he followed her. He parked across from the hotel, waiting, heart thudding like a drum. Claire arrived with the same man from her office. They laughed, touched, disappeared inside. David entered through the side door 15 minutes later. He didn't approach their room. He didn't want a confrontation. He wanted evidence. From a floor above, he used his phone to record them through the partially open curtain. He zoomed in, captured their voices, and he heard something strange. Once the documents are uploaded to the secure drive, they'll be deleted from the internal servers. Claire. And the clients? None the wiser. Their assets are rerouted through the holding company. It all looks clean. David's hand trembled. This wasn't an affair. It was something more, something illegal. He left the hotel before they saw him. That night, he reviewed the footage again, recognizing buzzwords he'd only half understood before. Holding companies, digital laundering, shell corporations. He didn't know what Claire was involved in, but it was big. The next day, he tried to speak with her again, but she was gone before dawn. She didn't return his texts. He reached out to a contact at his company, someone he trusted, an old friend in IT named Marcus. He asked Marcus to look up some of the keywords and names he'd heard. Marcus called him that night. "You didn't hear this from me, but that guy Claire's meeting with? His name is Peter Dalton. He's not just a co-worker. He's a senior analyst for their corporate strategy division, but he's also flagged internally for possible fraud. Quiet investigation, high-level stuff. David's blood turned cold. David, whatever you found, be careful. These people are connected. He barely slept. The next morning, he found his home office ransacked. Nothing. Stolen. Just disturbed. Files out of order. Drawers left open. His laptop powered on. Someone had been searching. That afternoon, he received a message on his private email, an address he hadn't used in years. Stop now. There won't be another warning. No signature. His heart raced. Who were they? Was Claire part of this? Was she being used, or was she in it willingly? He decided to visit Marcus in person, but when he arrived at Marcus's apartment, the door was ajar. Inside, the place was a mess. Furniture overturned, no sign of Marcus. David called his name. Silence. He turned to leave and ran straight into someone in the hallway. A tall man in a dark suit, no expression, no words. David backed away slowly and left. That night, another message came. We know what you're doing. You're not the first. Walk away. His phone rang minutes later. An unknown number. He answered. Mr. Morgan, a calm voice said, you've found yourself in dangerous waters, but we don't want to hurt you. You've been a victim here. We can make this all go away. David stayed silent. There's a deposit being made to your account. A gift. No strings. But if you continue, we can't protect you. The line went dead. David checked his bank account. $10,000 had been wired in from a shell entity. He stared at the number. This was real. And now he had a choice. Continue and risk everything. Or take the money, stay quiet, and survive. But justice was a hard thing to walk away from, especially when betrayal had already torn apart the life he thought he knew. And somewhere deep down, he knew this wasn't just about Claire anymore. It was about something bigger, and it had only just begun. The morning sun filtered through the blinds as David sat alone at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee growing cold in his hands. $10,000 sat in his bank account like a silent bribe. His wife hadn't come home last night. The silence of the house felt louder than ever before. He needed answers, not warnings, and he couldn't trust Claire anymore. That afternoon, David visited a lawyer, a small, quiet office in the older part of the city. He told the lawyer, Anita Kwan, a carefully edited version of the story, enough to protect himself, but not enough to trigger a legal report. Anita listened quietly, tapping a pen against her notepad. You're not wrong to be concerned, she finally said. If what you've seen is real, you could be sitting on proof of financial crimes, maybe worse. I'm not trying to start a war, David said. I just want to know what's happening. Anita leaned forward. Then be smart. Document everything. Record conversations. Keep backups off-site. And don't trust anyone you can't afford to lose. That night, Claire returned. Her face was tired, makeup smudged, like she hadn't slept. You're still up, she said, stepping into the hallway. David looked at her. Where were you? She hesitated. Work. Late. Number not anymore. I followed you, Claire. I know about the hotel. About Peter Dalton. About the money laundering. Her breath caught. She didn't deny it. Instead, she closed her eyes and whispered, You shouldn't have gotten involved. What are you doing? David demanded. Who are these people? What did you get pulled into? Claire looked at him for a long time. Then, in a voice so quiet it barely reached his ears, she said, It started small. Just numbers on a screen. Adjustments, reallocations. But then it grew. And we couldn't get out. We? He asked. They have connections, Claire said. Corporate, government, enforcement. They protect each other. If I left, they'd make me disappear. You still had a choice. No, she said, her voice suddenly sharp. You think I wanted this? I did it for us. To get ahead. But now it's too deep. David took a step back. So what, you're going to keep doing it? Pretend it's normal? I'm trying to survive, Claire said. And if you're smart, you'll do the same. He turned away from her. I'm not like you. You don't have a choice anymore. Later that night, David packed a duffel bag. He made encrypted backups of everything: his recordings, photos, the hotel footage, the bank transactions. He sent one copy to Anita and hid another in a safety deposit box under a friend's name. The next day, he started getting followed. A black car parked near his office every morning. A man sat on a bench outside the grocery store he visited. His internet slowed. His phone clicked oddly when he made calls. He wasn't paranoid. He was being watched. That weekend, David arranged to meet a former coworker, Elliot, to see if he could trace the money back to its source. Elliot was a forensic accountant who owed David a favor. They met at a quiet bar far from downtown. David laid out what he had. After reading through the files, Elliot looked up, eyes wide. This isn't just laundering, David. This is high-level embezzlement. Offshore accounts, falsified, investment portfolios. The whole company could collapse if this got out. Can you trace it? Maybe. But if I do, I'm pulling myself into it too. I understand, David said, but I need the truth. Elliot nodded reluctantly. Give me 3 days. On the second day, Claire called him. Her voice was different, tired, broken. They know you're digging, she said. Peter found out. I tried to protect you. I told them you were bluffing, but they're not going to wait much longer. Then help me expose them. I can't. If I speak, I'm gone. That's how it works. David lowered his voice. You can't live like this forever. There was a pause. You always saw things in black and white, she said. That was your weakness. Later that night, Elliot called. I found it. The transactions link back to a shadow company in Luxembourg. It's tied to one of your wife's firm's partners, Gregory Vance. He's connected to politicians, security contractors, the whole network. If you go public with this, you won't just destroy the company. You'll be naming people with real power. David felt the pressure mounting in his chest. Then we go to the press. Elliot hesitated. I'd be careful. There's a reporter, Jasmine Hale. She's investigated these kinds of cases before. But she vanished for 6 months last year. Did she come back? Yes, Elliot said. But she doesn't write those stories anymore. David found Jasmine's contact online and sent her a message through a burner email, attaching a sample of the data. She responded within an hour. I'll meet you. No names. Public place. They met the next day in a park crowded with joggers and families. Jasmine was cautious, but sharp. I looked through your files, she said. It's clean, thorough. If it's real, it's massive. It's real, David said. You realize what happens if we publish this, right? People will be ruined. Maybe you too. I don't care. She paused. Okay, but I need more. I need someone inside. David looked down. Claire, can she be trusted? I don't know anymore. The next morning, David came home to find his door ajar. Inside, drawers had been pulled out. His laptop was gone. And on the kitchen counter was a note, scribbled in red marker. One last warning. He didn't wait. He drove straight to Claire's office. Security tried to stop him, but he pushed through. When he reached her floor, he found her desk empty, her things gone. Peter Dalton stood nearby, speaking to a woman at the copier. When he saw David, his expression turned cold. You shouldn't be here, Peter said. Where's Claire? She doesn't work here anymore. What did you do to her? Peter smiled faintly. She made her choice. Now make yours. David clenched his fists, heart racing. I'm not afraid of you. You should be. You're not a hero, David. You're a man in the wrong place at the wrong time. I have the evidence. Peter stepped closer. Then why are you still breathing? David left, shaken but not broken. He met Jasmine again and gave her everything. The files, the names, the transfers, the recordings. She reviewed the data for hours. This will take time to verify, but when it breaks, you'll be a target. I already am. That night, Claire called him one final time. I'm leaving, she said. They gave me a way out, a new identity, new life. If I stay, they'll kill me. You're running? It's the only way. I tried to warn you. I tried to keep you out. Why not help me bring them down? She was silent. Then, Because survival means more than justice sometimes. And just like that, she was gone. David hung up, staring into the night. He had made his choice. He would not run. But soon, he would learn what justice truly costs. It had been 3 days since David last heard from Claire. 3 long, sleepless nights, each one dragging like a slow, unraveling thread. The documents had been handed off to Jasmine Hale, the reporter now working tirelessly behind the scenes. Elliot was running final traces, scrubbing through server logs and paper trails. Every phone call, every email felt like it could be the last. The pressure was building, and David knew something was coming. It arrived on a Tuesday morning, quiet and unexpected. A small envelope slipped under his front door, unmarked. Inside was a photo. It showed Claire standing near an airport terminal, alone, looking back over her shoulder. And behind her, barely visible, was a man David didn't recognize, watching her. On the back of the photo, 2 words were printed in bold red ink. "You're next." David burned the photo. Then he turned every light off in his house, locked every door, and stared at the floor for a long time. The line between right and wrong had long since blurred. But this was a message. They were close, and they were growing impatient. Later that evening, he met Jasmine at a safe location Elliot arranged, a tech workspace with private meeting rooms and off-grid servers. She had more news. "We verified the records," she said. "The shell companies, the diverted accounts. The Luxembourg connection checks out. Gregory Vance is in deep. His name appears on internal memos about off-books transactions. We even found fake consulting contracts." David nodded slowly. "So what now?" "I go to my editor tomorrow. Once the story runs, it's going to explode. But we both know what that means for you." "I don't care," David said. Jasmine's expression hardened. "Then you'd better prepare for the fallout. Once this is public, they'll have nothing to lose." David left the workspace and walked back to his car, glancing behind him with every step. The streets felt quieter than usual. Too quiet. That night, he stayed at a hotel across the city. He checked in under a false name and turned his phone off. He left only one note behind, addressed to his lawyer, Anita, with instructions on where to find the backup drives, and one final message: "If anything happens to me, release everything." The story went live the next morning. It spread fast. National headlines, breaking news, financial fraud, corruption, political ties. Gregory Vance's name appeared in bold across every screen. Photos, accounts, even recordings were published. By noon, 3 board members at Claire's company had resigned. By nightfall, the company's stock had plummeted. But the fallout didn't stop there. Jasmine called David. "They're trying to discredit the report. They're calling it fabricated, but too much is already out. They can't contain it." "What about Claire?" "There's no sign of her." David watched the coverage from his hotel room. Every face on the screen a reminder of how far this had gone. He felt no victory, only a growing sense of danger. Then came the final push, a knock at his hotel door. He froze. It was nearly midnight. The knock came again. He reached for the chair and wedged it under the doorknob. "Mr. Morgan," a voice called. "We just want to talk." He recognized the voice. Peter Dalton. "We can't undo what's been published," Peter said from the hall. "But you still have copies, drafts, notes. Give them to us. And this ends quietly." David didn't speak. "You want to be a martyr? Fine, but remember, you're not the only one we can reach." A long silence, then footsteps. David waited until he was sure Peter was gone before calling Anita. He spoke quickly, his voice low. "I need to move again. They found me." "I've already activated the release protocol," she said. "If anything happens to you, the remaining evidence will go straight to federal investigators." "Good," he paused. "Thank you." The next day, the Department of Financial Justice launched an official investigation into the firm. Gregory Vance was subpoenaed. Anonymous whistleblowers came forward. Jasmine's report had created a wave. David received a private email from an encrypted address. No text, only a video clip. Claire. She was standing on what looked like a dock, wind in her hair, somewhere far from the city. I don't know if you'll ever see this, she said, but I want you to know I didn't run because I was afraid of you. I ran because I knew the only way you could fight this was if I stayed out of sight. She looked away for a moment, then back. I'm sorry for everything, for the lies, for the betrayal. I did it because I believed I could control it. I thought if I just played along, it would stop one day. But it never did. I lost myself. And I lost you. A pause. Be careful. These people don't care about justice. But maybe, just maybe, enough of us do. The video ended. David saved the clip and tucked it away in his encrypted vault. Not as evidence, but as a memory. In the weeks that followed, arrests were made. Peter Dalton vanished from the public eye. Gregory Vance was placed under investigation. The corporate empire Claire once served began to crumble piece by piece. David refused all interview requests. He declined the book deals, the speaking gigs, the podcasts. He wasn't interested in being famous. He just wanted the truth to live. Months later, he moved to a small town by the coast, under a different name. He opened a quiet tech consulting business, stayed off the grid. He still checked the news sometimes, still read Jasmine's articles, still waited for any sign of Claire. Sometimes, when the wind was just right, he'd imagine her voice on the breeze. Not in guilt or regret, but in hope. Because despite everything, he hadn't chosen survival over justice. He'd chosen both. And in doing so, he had learned something simple, but powerful. The truth doesn't always win quickly, but it never forgets how to fight.